Hi, welcome back to Conscious Consumption. If you are new here, welcome. So glad to have you here today. If you are interested in listening to more Conscious Consumption episodes, you can find it on Awakening Airwaves on all major platforms. So that means Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course, YouTube. For YouTube, though, we do have a playlist, and it's really awesome because if you want to listen to Conscious Consumption episodes back to back, you could go find the playlist and do just that. I believe there's like 14 now at this point, but yeah, check it out there. Also, if you could consider liking, following, subscribing, and sharing with others, that really helps our show. That helps all the beautiful shows on Awakening Airwaves. So that is that. Now that we got that out of the way, I'd love to introduce my guest today. I have Heidi Forsman. She is an intuitive psychic medium, animal communicator based out of South Carolina, and she specializes in animal mediumship. I am so tongue-tied today. Aura and energy readings and helping people connect more deeply with their pets. Through her work, Heidi aims to bring comfort, healing, validation, and a great understanding of both the animals we love and ourselves. And I really have to just share too on a personal level. I have the pleasure of knowing Heidi. I absolutely love Heidi. She's adorable and so helpful and amazing, amazing psychic medium. And I have had the gift of being able to connect with my babies, my fur babies. So I'm really excited to have Heidi on the show. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you for having me. Likewise, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and having this friendship that we've built.
Yes, I know. I know it's been so fun too because I feel like we're really good at bouncing things off of one another and sharing, and it's been so effortless, and it has really been such a connection from the very start, which I don't usually have with too many people. So I absolutely just love and adore you and appreciate you, and yeah, so happy to have you on the show. But I do want to dive in because for listeners, I want to help listeners understand kind of your gifts and how they kind of unfold it. So, did you already have this as a young child, or was it something that kind of developed over time and kind of came to light more in your later years?
So I call myself a closet medium. I always had a connection with the living dead ever since I was a kid. You know that movie Sixth Sense?
Oh yeah.
Like I see dead people. Well, that was me when I was a kid, and people were a little bit weirded out by me. And I basically stayed closeted for a very, very long time. I was ashamed of my gifts. I was different. And I noticed that with my friends in kindergarten, even where I saw spirits around. Um, and I never fit in. I never felt like I had a friendship where, well, I had good friendship, but I never felt understood like other people did. And
Mhm.
I always felt like I was out of place. So, yeah.
So did you, I gotta ask too, because you mentioned the friends, did you tell your family at all? Like, did your family know and understand what you were experiencing and seeing?
I don't think I even understood what I was experiencing, seeing. I think my parents, so my grandma was a psychic, my dad's mother was a psychic. And he was more accepting and open to it, and he kind of knew it was going to me too. And my mom was more Christian, and her family, my grandmother and grandfather, was more Christian, and they preferred me to not talk about it in
Mm,
public because as a kid you don't know that this is not normal.
yeah.
So when I see Isabel, who is my imaginary friend, and I'm talking to her like she's sitting here, I didn't understand that wasn't normal. So they kind of were like, okay, we can't really do that in public, and especially not in church, you
Yeah.
know.
So you really just stuffed it down and kind of like you didn't develop the gifts. You already had them, but you kind of stuffed it down and kind of kept it, away until what age were you when you start to kind of embrace it more and be like, okay, this is who I am. I'm gonna allow this to come out.
I've tried so many times, you know. Uh, I think the first time I tried to do it was like when I was maybe 16, 17, and I was like, I'm a psychic medium. Came out, and people are like, no. And I tried to give somebody a reading, and they're like, they're still alive. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So that, you know, that kind of feared. I didn't understand what the psychic part of myself was
Yeah.
because I didn't know I was psychic at that point. I thought I was just a medium, but there was two different channels there. And then I tried again when I separated from my ex-husband, and I did really really good. But then I had one bad reading, and I got scared again. I was like, okay, maybe this is not it for me. Maybe, you know, and I had zero training. I didn't even know what there's a different clairvoyancy, or, you know, there's clairaudience or stuff like that. I just was so ignorant about what I was doing. And I think the spirit said that you're not ready for this until now. And it wasn't until, you know, quite a year ago, I would say, where my current boyfriend, we went ghost hunting, and I'm talking to spirits, and he thinks it's the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, oh wow, somebody is actually liking this and like encouraging me to talk to the spirits. And he's like, you should really develop it. And I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I've tried that my whole life. And yeah, he really pushed for it. And here I am today.
That's awesome. First of all, shout out to your boyfriend because that is freaking awesome. I love that he embraced it and he's like, yeah, we're going ghost hunting. And by the way, this is badass and cool. I love that. That is so
Yes.
cool. I think we need more of that because I think there are a lot of people that either are too scared to look at the fact that this is real and that this exists, or there's the other side of the fence too, where a lot of people really have shut down themselves so much that they don't see beyond, and because they're not in that position yet of their healing process to go there, as far as those that are more closed off to it. But yeah, that's so awesome that you did that. So I have to ask, because something you said I was really curious about, but so often when I've either talked to people or when I've read about this, it seems as though sometimes when we go through these emotional, we'll call them traumas, anything that's really like emotionally hard on our heart, a lot of times that will kind of open us up even more. Do you think that your time kind of stepping away from that relationship that you're in kind of cracked you open a little bit more?
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with that because I think I was the rawest after my separation. I separated from my ex-husband twice, and both times I ended in trying to develop myself, and it went really, really well. But this, I needed guidance, and I think, you know, people put you in different type of situations when you're ready, and I don't think I was ready at that point. So I needed to go through all these experience to get to that today.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There is definitely that growth period of when we have these experiences, it does help us and we don't realize it at the time, but once we get to a certain point, we're like looking back and going, oh yeah, okay, now I understand why I had to go through this. So
Yeah.
that's really wonderful. I also wanted to just ask too, that is something that I was curious about, but going from having the experience of the psychic mediumship piece, and where you start to kind of dabble a little and you were doing these readings, and then you had this one experience that was in your mind like really like difficult because it didn't go as you had thought. Was there any takeaways from you now looking back on that where you're like, you know what, that was just part of my growth period, but then also having that grace with yourself?
So now I know that that was my psychic side. So even though I was wrong at that time, I actually wasn't. And I think, again, I needed more mentorship and I needed more guidance. And if I would have had that at that time, maybe it would have looked different. But again, it did. shatter me a little bit. Like I was almost ashamed of being so wrong because it was so wrong. It was probably one of the most horrible readings ever. But in hindsight, I saw it as a psychic reading, which is why I don't do human mediumship because it's so hard for me to different those two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have to comment on something too, and I won't obviously give away the personal part of this, the personal experience of this. But you and I did a reading together a while back, or I shouldn't say a reading, a practice session. This was way, way back when you and I first did our very first practice together, and I was meeting you for the first time on camera and everything else. But I remember you said something to me at the time because I was so like just trying to like understand and open up the mediumship part because that was something that I kept having like come in periodically and I didn't understand it. And with the training that you and I did, there wasn't a whole lot in that field. But anyways, I remember you said something to me and you were like, there's no wrong information. It's just misplaced information. And I remember that always stood out because I was like, I just got chills when I said that. But yeah, it was such a profound thing for you to be able to recognize and have that like knowing of, yeah, like we have these experiences and they absolutely are real and true but maybe how we're delivering it or maybe how we're perceiving it because we're not quite understanding what we're seeing in our mind's eye or we're not quite understanding what's coming through like to be able to put all those pieces because it really is like putting these puzzle pieces together and
it
you're like
is.
okay so I really have to just tell you that was something that always stuck with me and I absolutely loved that and it really helped me too in that moment of like having a little bit more of a like a comfort of like okay I'll just go with this and see what happens so
Yeah.
but
And I think
go ahead. I'm sorry. No, you're good. Go.
as intuitives, I think a lot of us see trauma imprints without even
Oh
knowing.
yeah.
And I think some, especially for me, it's hard to different what is what. Um, so what we're seeing, it's most likely right. We just don't know where it's placed.
Yeah. And I wanted to say along that same lines of what you just said, but then also backing up a few steps to what you said about the how it was psychic information. But for the listeners, can you kind of explain like how you experience that, how the two pieces come together? Because it could be either the mediumship or the psychic ability, and how it is, there's a difference of tapping into it.
So I had to learn this along the way. And I think everyone, you see so many mediumship and psychics out there, and everyone has their own niche. But mm, the more you do these readings, you find your language. And I think that is one important part that you and me have learned that we have to have a language with our guides. And my language was colors. That's how I perceive energy. But then I noticed that I had a different channel for psychic, and then I had a different channel for my mediumship. And I noticed that when I look to the right, then I can tap in. And now I'm getting goosebumps too. I look to the right, that's when I open my mediumship channel. But if I look to my left, that's my psychic channel. But I can also look at you now and receive aura information, but that's my straight channels. And that's, some people do it eyes open, eyes closed. Some people, stare straight at you. So it's just finding what works for you and your language.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you shared that because I think it really is like a language interpretation of our own piece because it does come from us. Like in order for us to be a channel, in order for us to receive information, it is part of also what we have experienced through life and so that we could understand and everything else. Because I do think like a couple other people that I'm trying to think of how it was worded, but a couple other people that I've talked to about this and how they'll like it's almost like they look in front, that's present or future, and then they look behind them, and that's the past type thing. And it is like how it shows up for us because that might be different for another person where it's actually the opposite or whatever. Because I know for me, like I'll see This is something that I'm still working on, but so far it seems as though there's like with the past, but also with males will come in on the left for me. I don't know why, but I get like males that come through the left, and I'm like, huh, I wonder what that is. Like, why is that the left? But okay. But
And
yeah.
I try.
Oh, go ahead.
I tried all of that. I tried the front and the past, and white colors for females, and I had my color coordination, but I was like, I the whole front, left, right, if they're alive, not alive, it didn't work for me. And I was like, I was getting frustrated at myself because everyone was like, no, if they're in front, then they're alive, and if they're in the back, they're dead. And I was like, it's not working for me.
Yeah.
They're still alive in the back.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that piece of trusting how it comes through for you and knowing that you're unique and your path's unique and your
Yes.
gifts are going to be unique, how they come through. I love that. I do want to ask you, when did you kind of pivot into that? Because I love animals and I love that I got to have this beautiful experience, well, more than once actually, because you read Pudge when he was alive. You did, I don't know if you remember, but you did a beautiful, beautiful reading. And I'm going to try not to, whoo, I almost got the waterworks there. But anyways, you did a beautiful, beautiful reading for Pudge when he was alive. And then recently you did a reading for my two that are around, but you also tapped into Pudge and did a mediumship reading. And it was such a beautiful experience. And it really does bring such comfort to the heart. And I am so appreciative of your beautiful gifts and how you share with the world this light of being able to connect with your animals and everything. So can you kind of share about how you did that pivot into the animal world from, practicing with the humans? And having your human reads,
So
I mean.
I will say that my connection with animals have always been the most honest part of me. And I've been the kid that collected pets. Like I would find random cats, I would find random dogs that had no home or rabbits. I've had every pet that a person possibly could have. But I felt like Snow White as a kid. Like I felt like I understood them in a different way. And now looking back at my gift, I was already communicating back then. I just didn't realize it. And when I started reading auras, we were reading energy and we were reading colors. And for fun, I just tried one of my cats and it was just a blob. I was like, okay, this is nothing. Um, this is not going to lead anywhere. But then I was doing a couple more and I was like, things started making sense. Things were matching. I started feeling sensations in readings. And I was like, I might be onto something because I feel like I'm not saying like and I know every animal and I know them the best, but I feel like because of my connection with them from very early on, I connected to them very easily, even now. And I think that's why that transition happened so easily.
Nice. I love that. Do you remember how long ago that was that you did that transition?
Probably 6 months ago. It,
Oh, it
it
was
wasn't
really
long.
recent. I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Oh,
It
wow.
was, yeah, it was pretty random. So I, it was also around when I started taking my Reiki certification. I had done the random readings, but I was like, when I took my animal Reiki, it kind of solidified the path for me. Like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to help animals. I knew I was always supposed to help animals. Like, I've always had it in my heart that I'm gonna do a rescue or have something for homeless pets or something. But when I did Reiki, it was like, this is you, this is your path. You're supposed to heal animals and their owners. So.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And it is such, like I said, such a beautiful gift. I I wanted to share too, just backing up. So, for the listeners, if you haven't listened to the conscious consumption episode about soul pets, where I share about Pudge, I do share about him, but I also share about in that episode about how Heidi had actually brought a very special message to me shortly after I had lost him. And I don't know if you remember the timing of that, but it was so interesting because I remember receiving your text message and I was sitting out on the lawn and I was having just a really rough, rough time during that particular moment. And I got your text message and it was just like, I began bawling, but it was like out of, my heart being warm and just knowing that, I was going to connect with him again. And I had been getting messages, but just somehow having like even you, it was like something outside myself that was also like extra validation of like, yes, he's like here. So I want to share that with the listeners because you guys have to check out that episode. But Heidi really is a beautiful, gifted psychic medium with the pets, and those aura readings are amazing. Because I remember when you did one for me, which I know you're focused on the pets, but the one for me, and then you also I think did one for I think that was the very first read you did for Pudge too, which was so cool. But that is, I love the aura readings because I've had aura readings before and it didn't really like resonate with me like the ones that I've had. I love your style. I love how you deliver the information. I love how you make it really easy to understand what's going on and how, it unfolds the whole thing. So just wanted to share that with the listeners.
I still love doing aura readings, and it's still up as a listing. I think, you know, usually, and I hate saying this, when people think they see auras, they see one color, but it's not one color. It's so much fun. Like when I see auras, it's like their head is one color, their heart might be, and I'm starting to see chakras and where the blockage is. And we see pink, we see green, we see hands if they have energy coming up or down. And I actually did a aura reading on a couple today,
Oh,
which
nice.
was it's super, super fun. And it was interesting because I saw the chords between the two of them. And I was able to kind of pin where the energy was stuck. There was usually when I see red, it's an attention area for me, and I saw that there was red by their feet, and particularly with the female, and that she was little bit nitpicky about the relationship and his personality. But there was so much good in their relationship too. Like I saw a lot of blue between the two of them, which blue signifies communication for me. And the fact that the energy was rising showed me that there were like good energy coming up and not something that was stagnant. So I still love doing aura readings, and it's just so much fun to see those colors develop.
Yeah, those really are like amazing. Those readings, the aura ones, I love so much. I do want to pivot a little bit and ask you, as far as your experience, and I know you said that your process and everything of getting into the pet psychic mediumship and working intuitively with the animals um, is more recent. But do you find yourself, because you said you've always dabbled in this even as a child without really realizing until now, but do you find yourself really like going through your own pets and like doing kind of a brush down, if you will, intuitively, like when you've taken them to the pets and then doing your own and going, okay, I know the vet says this, but this is what I'm actually seeing. Like, have you been able to kind of have deeper dives that are, different than maybe or something from the vets?
I find it harder to read on my own pets. I don't know why. Like I don't know if it's just me being blocked, but it's like I can sense the communication between us, but I think I have like an emotional barrier to them. Like when my Bubsy cat was sick, I saw the energy, but I didn't want to believe that that's where the energy was stuck. And I was right all along, but in my head I was like, no, it's something else. Like I didn't trust my intuition and my information that I was receiving. And I think that makes it hard to have that emotional bond with these creatures. because you care so much and you want to do everything, and you want to be wrong when they're sick. You don't want to see that they're sick.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure like part of that I feel like too that we experience when we have these connections, whether it's human or animals or what, like it's like you said, it is really difficult to look at. Like I definitely think with Pudge, I didn't realize just how much weight he had lost until like the time came to, put him down. And I was just like, how did I not process all this? But I think it was because I couldn't see it. And I think that we have that experience when it's our loved ones or our pets or, whatever. And so definitely I would think that that would like be more difficult to do a reading to like, you're a little more blocked when there's something going on. You don't want to see it. It's hard to see and process and go through. But
yeah.
I do want to ask too, along that same line of things, but a little bit different. Have you experienced attitude problems with either your pets or others that you were communicating with?
Yes.
A little
Yes.
sassiness?
uh, I've, animals are so fun to read over in general, but animals are a lot more sassier than we think, and they talk back a lot more. Like their personalities really come through. Like I did a reading not too long ago, and this lady would not let me talk. Like I love being. I say that I like to bring evidence myself, but she did not give me a chance. Like she told me the whole story before I even started, and her dog was like, "Oh my God, just put a sip on it." And he was like, he wanted to tell. It was almost like he wanted to tell the story, and he was like, no, now she's being dramatic. And I was like, if she like, and you can't say that in a reading.
Yeah.
You can't be like, hey, your dog wants you to sip it. But that literally happened where he was like rolling his eyes, but it was a super super fun reading, and his personality came through really hard. But like it's so fun to get their personalities, and so many times they do talk back to you.
Wow. I think that's so fun that he was just like, oh my gosh, please have her stop. I am ready to speak.
Yes.
I need to say my piece. And she's giving the whole story and it's not correct.
Yes,
That's
because a
crazy.
lot of times, they want to be heard, and they want
Yeah.
to be like, hey mom, I'm here, like
Mhm.
let me prove that I'm here.
Yeah.
And like I'm showing you all this evidence, and I don't even get to talk. Like I'm here and I don't even get to talk.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to say too, I love that you said that you like to share evidence base because that's something that to me is really important. If I'm going to someone for a read, like it does help put you at ease knowing, okay, this person is, connecting with this other, person or animal or, whatever. And the evidence to me, the evidence-based stuff, bringing that through is really important for it's part of the
Yes.
process.
And it's fun because I never know how they're gonna communicate. Like sometimes, like it can be strictly symbolic, and sometimes it can be very direct. So you never know who you're gonna talk to and what they're gonna show you. And sometimes you have to play a little bit of Sherlock with the symbols and be like, okay, this is what it actually means. But that can be fun too. And I've had even clients come back a couple of days later and saying like, okay, now I completely get what the flower
Mhm.
mean.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, and I think I'm so glad you said that. So glad you brought that up because I think that's really, really important too. Is I think when you're receiving a reading, it's very good to take your time and check yourself and like marinate in all the information that came forward. It might take a few weeks before you have something pop up and you're like, holy crap, 15. Oh, they passed me on the 15th or, whatever. Because when you're in it, like you don't always see all the little pieces. It's almost like you're too zoomed in to like really experience everything that's coming through. And so I'm glad you shared that too, because I think whether you're like on the receiving end, it's good to kind of like just wait and marinate in it before you like check something off as well. I don't know what that's about, you know? And
Yes.
then as somebody that's doing the reading, I think that's always good to like share, you know, with people too, is that it's good to like sit with the information and just know that sometimes it might not present itself right away, but it might present itself, you know, a week or two later, or, you know, several weeks later or whatever.
And a lot of times when we receive this information, we can see like, okay, this was a school teacher,
Yeah.
but when we present the evidence for them, they're like, well, I'm not a school teacher today, but then they come back and say, well, I used to be one.
Yeah.
So it's so just keep an open mind when you come into these feelings, because a lot of times the information is still around you, even though
Yeah.
it's not there right today.
Yeah. I love that. And I do want to ask too, so going back to the animals and kind of like your gifts as younger, because you mentioned like Cinderella or not Cinderella, Snow White and all the animals and everything. And one of the things that I was curious about, did you, because you said that you were already communicating with them. So on your path now with where you're at, do you find yourself when you're out in nature hiking, do you like look up and start, you know, communicating with the birds and like communicating with, you know, the snakes on the ground or, you know, whatever you're coming across?
Yes, absolutely. My lifelong goal is for a bird to like, I'm gonna talk to it and it's gonna land here. My neighbors think I'm crazy because I will go out there in my yard and hold my finger out like this and just wait for a bird to come,
That's
because
awesome.
I I I believe it's gonna happen one day. But that's what I do. Like, even with I love lizards.
Oh,
Um, and I make sure I talk to them and just make sure that they're not too scared of me. But yes, I absolutely. And trees. I love to talk to trees.
that's so awesome. I love that. Yeah, I definitely will communicate with the plants as well when I'm outside. And I find that that's something that's really, it's so interesting. I feel like I don't come across too many people that actually share that. So I appreciate you sharing that because I think that is important that we communicate with nature because they definitely hear
Yes.
us. Like whether
Yes.
we could hear them is a whole nother story, but they hear us.
And
Um, Go
I
ahead.
have like 20 big large trees around me, and I like they should have fell over during the Hurricane Helen,
Oh,
and I'm so appreciated that they didn't, and I make sure that they know that I'm grateful that they're still standing. So even for somebody that like, oh, trees don't matter, but for me, like, if it helps my house stand free from falling trees, then that's what I'm gonna do.
yeah. When I think anyone that like questions that really needs to like look into the various like intention studies that they've done through the years because there's been hundreds of those studies done on plants where you take plants and you have the soil, the water, the you know the light, everything's the same and the only difference is one is receiving you know positive words of affirmation or positive music or whatever and then the other one not so much and then you find that the growth rates are different and that right there to me it just proves like they're definitely receiving our energy when we're putting that out.
Yes.
So it's like such an important thing for us to really be able to connect with nature and connect with Mother Earth and be thankful and show gratitude and be able to, you know, give that love and give that exchange back and not just take all the time. So I love that you do that.
I agree. And it's so interesting to like, I never knew that trees have auras. Our trees have auras. We see colors around everything. Everything is energetic. And like, once you tap into those colors, you start seeing how they move around and flow in everyday life. So,
Yeah, it's so awesome. And then I do want to ask you too, so going back to kind of your path of you know, unfolding, I'll call it, as you were growing up and getting into just your spiritual path and your healing path. How did that kind of unfold for you as far as like you stepping on to this journey? Because I know you mentioned 16, you tried to open up your gifts and then you kind of like stepped away from it again and then you kind of came back. But was there a time that you kind of decided, okay, I'm going to really work on my spiritual gifts, but then also work on my healing process where you were like
So
full in, like, I'm going to commit to this type thing.
I think after my divorce with my ex-husband, that's when I went into full healing. I created this beautiful mandala behind me, and that was part of my healing. It was part of the journey that I had to go through. And even while I was creating this room, I thought it was going to be a business office.
Mm.
And what I was creating was my spiritual sanctuary without me even knowing about it. And I think the guys were preparing me for today, for all of this, the feathers, the elephant, the pink, the colors, and everything. It just makes sense that this is what I was supposed to do.
Yeah,
And this was the journey that I had to take.
I love that. Did you find during that time, because I love how it like presents itself later as far as that knowing of, oh, okay, got it. Like this is what it unfolded to. But like when you didn't know, like in the process of, doing it. But did you find that during that time were you kind of moving through intuitively, like the feathers had special meaning to you, or the elephant, like I know the story with the elephants, but
Yeah.
is there anything that you want to share as far as like how that all was coming together for you?
So I think the elephant on my mural here, it was for my mom that had passed away, and her connection to elephants were really close. And then the feathers, I don't know why I picked that, and I don't know why I decided to coat my whole room in pink and gold feathers, but it's just that has been became my signature in my brand. That the feather is how I speak to my guides. Even I just the language was building. I just didn't know it. And it's just so interesting when you go back
Mm.
and see how they've been trying to push you into this direction and you're like having no clue. And I think part of it is also fear. Initially when I started this journey, I was not going to come out with my name because I was so scared of being who I really was. I was scared that people were going to know that I was a psychic medium, and I was scared that people were going to talk about me. And I heard like a YouTube video or something like that that said like, if you're ashamed of this one true part of yourself, then why are you even doing this work? Because you're supposed to heal. And it just kind of sat with me like, I'm supposed to heal other people, and I'm too afraid to put my name on it. Like, how does that make sense? So I came out, and it was so scary. But at that point, I was like, I was yelling outside, like, I am a psychic medium. And like, Francisco thought I was a little bit absurd because I like new people that I met. I was like, hi, I'm Heidi, I'm a psychic medium. And he was like, you don't have to tell everyone. But that became my new identity. I was like, so what do I tell them that I do? Like I became nervous, and he was like, you don't have to say anything. And I was like, but then I'm lying. And he was like, no, you're not. You're still you, but now you're just being true to yourself. So I think that was the biggest. Like once I allow myself to have a name, because I remember it was gonna be like purple sage or smoky sage or something weird like that. Nobody would have known that Heidi Forsman was a psychic medium that could communicate with pets. But once I put my name on it, whew, everything blew up. Everything, all the doors started opening, and it was like, okay, so you are your true self, and
Yeah.
let us bring you to this path that you're supposed to be on. And it just escalated from that.
That's so awesome. And that really is like a true testament to being in your alignment and speaking your truth and being, like you said, like being in your truth. Like that's crazy because I think a lot of us do have that fear and like fight it so much. And it's
Yes.
all the what ifs, or like you said, like being afraid of what's going to be the response or whatever. And if you're living in certain areas, maybe there's that judgment piece. If there's like a Bible Belt or, something where some people might be a little bit more closed off. And not to say that everybody is that's, super religious or anything, but so I think that is just, like I said, like a beautiful testament of showing that you're living in that true alignment to have it like also be like explosive and they're like, oh, here you go. The gates have opened, you know?
Yes.
So that's awesome.
It is scary. And I think, especially in the beginning, you come onto this path and you don't like, I didn't have my tribe and I'm starting to, you're part of my tribe. And, you feel more welcome once you open up. But there was definitely certain things that needed to happen in order for me to be on my path. And uh, what was it? I had something on my head that I needed to say, but I guess it's going to come back when it's meant to be.
Well, let me know when it does. And then we'll jump over to that. I wanted to ask you something, and I know I'm kind of jumping all over, but I just thought of something as you were talking too. But related to the training aspect, because this is like another topic. At some point I want to do an episode on this because I think it's so important. But when we look outside of ourselves for the answers, because we all have that wisdom within, and I do absolutely think that there's place for training and for having coaching and mentors and everything else. And shout out to Yolanda Williams on Reiki Radio, because if you are ever looking for a coach, mentor, or anybody for that, she is amazing. I absolutely love Yolanda. Prior to that, I had some not so great experiences. And so I'm curious with you and your path, because I know a little bit just from what you and I have talked about in the past, but whatever you're willing to share as far as how your kind of training process went, and then what kind of led you in different directions, and where you did you experience those any of those red flags that sometimes we experience in the spiritual world with teachers or mentors, where it's like, okay, breaks, I need to pivot and go this way. That doesn't feel like it resonates with me and what I'm trying to do.
So I think my whole life I've been wanting to have a mentor. I've even said that, like, just send me somebody that can teach me what I need to know. And I had the opportunity to be taught under Lisa Campion and her classes. And I am eternally grateful for it because it gave me the base that I needed to understand every like the compartment. Like, I started to understand what the different layers of these gifts were. But I did feel like after the course was done that I was missing something a little bit more on a connection level, somebody that could, like, I think all of us feel like, hey, can you tell me this is my path that I need to be on? Like, I think everyone, when you start on this path, like, you just want to be validated
Yeah.
that you're doing the right thing and you're supposed to, like, nobody wants to waste time or money on anything. And I finally found a mentor, Emilia del Toro, who were able to guide me. And I didn't even know it when I had her that she was also an animal communicator. And that kind of, again, validated my path that I was supposed to be in. And she helped me unlock the last piece that I needed and kind of understand that everything happens for a reason. You're supposed to be here. Yes, you are supposed to. I needed somebody to tell me
Yeah.
that you are supposed to do this. You're supposed to help people, because I was still scared that, as many other psychics, what I was hearing and seeing was in my own head. Even though I've been right numerous times, I was still scared to be for it to be fake. I kind of like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't want to be somebody that you weren't. And like this last session that I had with Emilia, she was like, I can tell you now that this is the path that you're supposed to be on. You're supposed to be helping animal and their owners. And I felt like my whole soul rising, and I was like, yes, somebody finally told me what I'm supposed to do. And it was just, I needed that.
Yeah. Well, and as you were talking and you're sharing that, and I'm seeing, and I know obviously you're moving and you're lifting your arms. For those that aren't watching, I'm kind of verbally explaining just so you could kind of have a visual picture. But like literally, your glow is like you light up so much when you talk about the animal communication. There really is a difference, and I absolutely get that. I love that. I love that for you because I think it's like so perfect, and I love that it was this just like blooming of like, oh, like it clicked, like, it finally makes sense. Like this is the piece that was missing type thing.
And what was so funny was like I used to do human mediumship readings, and even I tried on you, and it was like I would not be able to connect it. And I was like beating myself, and I was like, I don't get it. Like I can do the psychic part phenomenally, like where I'm getting the aura information, but then when I take into the mediumship, it was just not doing it. And I was like pulling my hair out. And then somebody on TikTok asked me if I could do a pet mediumship reading. And I was like, I've never done it. Let me try. And she was like, oh, thank you. And I was like, I just want you to know that I've never tried this, but we can try it. And that was my first pet mediumship reading. And let me tell you, the channel was like there. I was like, I can't
Awesome.
even explain it. Like, there was no, like, hey, I don't know if he's alive or black or have dark hair or, there was no second guessing. It was just there. But something that I've learned with myself is I'm more of a dial up medium. If the information is presented in front of me, I can just kind of call them and be like, hey, let me talk to you. And they will come from in front of me. But I have a little bit harder to pick out random pets or places or whatever. I kind of have to know what direction I'm going. And once I have that, it's just,
Wow. I find that so interesting too. Like for
I
the
didn't
like
even
how you
know
explained
that.
it, the dialogue. Yeah. Because that's really interesting. Like I know for me, like, and I've only practiced a few times, but like for that piece, like the more I don't know, the better. Like I just don't want to know. I have to go in it blind. I don't want anyone to say names or anything. I just want to, see what happens. But
And that's how I've been doing my mediumship reading. But if I can see a picture or I can at least have a name
yeah,
before I start the mediumship reading, the aura, when I do a pet communication reading, I already have the picture or I already
yeah.
communicate with them. But the authentication and the validation is so much clearer once I have that in front of me. It's almost like, hey, I'm talking to them right here on the phone, and I don't know, I can't explain it.
No, I appreciate so much that you're sharing that with the listeners because that's yet another thing, again, that makes us so unique in our path with all our spiritual gifts. But being able to recognize that because we are different. So that's where it's like you can't rely on your girlfriend who is, a medium and how she's receiving information because it's going to be so different from how you do and how you need to, receive it too. So I love that you shared that and that we were able to have that discussion about that. I do want to go back to your healing and spiritual path as far as because something that I like to do on conscious consumption is just ask people like, do you have any practical tools or anything that is something that has helped you on your path or something that you believe in for strengthening your gifts or anything that you really want to share about that?
So I know Lisa Campion was talking about the Silva method. Um, I have a little bit of a squirrel mind when I meditate, like I can't sit still and I can't do it for 30 minutes or anything like that. But I trained myself to sit with the Silva method, and it took me months and months. But I feel like that kind of helped me dial in. So now I just hold my fingers like that, and I'm able to ground myself and go in that meditative state where I have that connection. And it took a long time to train myself on that. And then I also have my rabbit tail, which has I feel like it's my little connection to the animal world somehow. I don't know why it works, but it works. And sometimes, maybe it's all in our head that gives us confidence to push ourselves, and that might be what the rabbit tail is. So that those are my two favorite tools is meditation and my rabbit tail.
I love that. And I love, by the way, I am like a huge, huge person on tools. Like whatever helps you, because I truly believe, like, obviously we could do it without, right? But it's whatever helps get you in that mindset and helps you really tune in to what you're trying to, whether it's a psychic or mediumship or, just, whatever it is. Because I love tools. I get excited about them. That's why I have so many damn Oracle decks and tarot decks. That's awesome. And then I do want to ask as well, one of the other things I really want to ask you before we, close out is, and this is a little bit different than the last question, but do you have any tips or strategies that you would recommend for owners to connect and strengthen that relationship with their own pet?
Absolutely. I feel like you can just do so much by just with intention. And you don't have to like force them to sit in front of you or anything like that. But if you ground yourself and set the intention, be like, okay, I am going to communicate with you now, and I want a response from you. And I bet you would get like a blink, or you would like something that nudges you in the right direction, but it's intention for sure.
I love that. That's a good one. That's a great one, Heidi. Um, oh my God, there was something else I wanted to ask you too about this. Oh, I,
In dreams.
oh, go ahead, because I just remembered something that I was supposed to share with you. Go ahead. I just got goosebumps again. Whew, go ahead.
Oh, intention with dreams. So let's say that, hey, Goofy is not feeling well. Well, set your intention before you go to bed and be like, okay, can my guides and Goofy's guides talk and just give me a signal in my dream and just kind of let me know what to do here? And a lot of times you will probably get an answer that way too. You might not remember, so you just have a journal with you nearby.
I love that. And that actually is what made me think and remember what it was I wanted to tell you. And I was planning on telling you before we hit record, but I'll tell you now since we're on record. But it's so funny the timing of this. So I don't know if you recall, but when we did a reading with the pets last time, so what was it? It was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But you had tuned in when at the end when you had tuned into Pudge. I was a little emotional because I felt like the signs had stopped. And it was so funny because this goes back to when we get readings and we're like too blocked because we're too emotional or whatever, and we're not seeing the big picture because we're too zoomed into, the little things. But you had said he's sharing that, yes, he has been sending you signs and he's been in your dreams. And I remember when you said that, I went back through my dream journal and I'm like, oh, absolutely, he has. So I have to share because I have everything in my Google Calendar. I also have like another paper, planner type thing that I use. But this episode recording with you, I knew it was coming up, but I really didn't like think about it until today because I've been kind of like just going along. I have a lot going on in my life right now. Anyways, so with that being said, I woke up this morning and I was like, I gotta plug in my dream. And so I like plugged it into my phone before writing it down because I always transfer it to my journal afterwards. But one of the pieces in my dream was Pudge had shown up and Pudge was showing himself that he was there present, that he was just hanging out with me and he was just kind of observing. And I remember the whole time just feeling like his support, like, I'm just kind of checking things out. I'm just kind of here. I'm here for you type thing. But he was just hanging out. And then when I was like bringing all my stuff out to the office to set up for this podcast, I was like, oh my God, Heidi, hello. And I'm like, Pudge, Heidi. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I was like, I have to tell you. But anyway, so it's so funny because yes, like the dreams, like they show up in our dreams, but like you were talking about with the intention and everything else. So I had to share that.
I love that. I love
Me
it.
too. I love it. And
I
so
think
I
it's so
got,
awesome.
oh, go ahead.
No, I think it's so awesome that they find ways to communicate, and the fact that they can tell which ways that they will communicate. I've had pets saying like, "Hey, you will see a shadow in the hallway," and she's like, "Oh my God, that's what I did the other night." So,
I love that. Okay. I was gonna let you go, but then I thought of something else I wanted to ask you about. I'm gonna keep coming up. I'll try not to though. But something else that I was just thinking about has to do with energy impressions.
mhm.
Because I remember when I was younger, and I don't know exactly how old because I'm trying to think. I think it was my dog Kato. So I must have been, I don't know. I'm gonna say like 12, 13, probably around there. But I remember when he passed away, my mom and I would still hear his little nails on the hardwood floors, just, tuk, 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 just walking. And we like heard it for like a couple weeks or maybe even several weeks. But I remember just hearing that constantly. It was part of that energy impression of him. But also along that same line of things, like when I have had my dog when I was 18, she got put down on Thanksgiving Day. And I remember it was that same kind of thing where we would hear her bark. And it always sounded like she was a Pekingese. It always sounded like she would say mama. Like she had like a certain way of like making her mouth move and everything else, but she sounded like she was saying mama. And so you could hear her going, mama, mama. Anyways, but so have you had those experiences too of those energy impressions being left behind from the animals, like when you've had to say goodbye to your loved ones?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, like, I've had so many questions before that, like, they're scared that when they move, that the energy's gonna get stuck there and not come with them. And I think it's super important for everyone to know that, yes, there is energy imprints, but the pets follow you. They follow the love in your heart and the bond that you guys have. So there might be energy imprints, wherever, but the bond never separates. So yes, I've experienced that myself, and I've had clients experience that, and it's always fun to pinpoint what comes next.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I do want to just thank you, Heidi, for coming on the show. And this was such a fun episode. I really loved listening to your story and sharing. And obviously, there was a lot that I knew, but I wanted to have you share that with the listeners because I think it's such a beautiful story of like the unfolding of everything and how you work with the animals. And I am a huge animal lover, so I get excited about this stuff. But thank you so much. And I want to ask, so before you leave, because I do have a special coupon code for the listeners, Heidi is offering $5 off one reading with promo code AIR, AIR 5. So AIR 5, and that's the number five. You don't actually write out five. And that is going to be offered to the listeners for, you said, for 6 months. Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
end
So
of the year would be.
perfect. And so if you go to her website, which I will have Heidi actually, if you want to go ahead and share your handles for everyone so they could like and follow you and so they could
Yeah.
check out your website and check out your beautiful offerings that you have.
You can find me on at Heidi Forsman Intuitive on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, TikTok. We're everywhere. And my website is www.heidiforsmanintuitive.com.
Awesome. That's great. And then again, promo code AIR5 to get $5 off one reading with Heidi. I highly, highly, highly recommend Heidi. So go check her out, check out her page, and like and follow her on the socials. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful day and a beautiful weekend. And yeah, lots of love to everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, conscious consumption listeners, it's Serena. I wanted to share with you that we have the Reiki class masterclass weekend coming up this autumn equinox, September. We will have these amazing classes set up for you guys. And right now, there's special offers if you purchase your tickets now. I wanted to share a little though, because last year, if you were part of the masterclass weekend, then you obviously know how much information is jam packed in that weekend. We have so many cool classes and offerings by the facilitators of Awakening Airwaves, 9 master classes. It's over 13 hours. I mean, you can't go wrong there. And for my work, I just want to share a little bit because a lot of the work that I do today is deeply woven in me connecting with my guides and working with ceremony and sacred space and ritual and supporting the clearing of energetic imbalances. And really, it's to help ignite the magic within you and help you feel connected to your own inner wisdom and help you feel connected to your own path. And this was something that I really lacked in the very beginning of my journey. I always had this piece that I felt like was something missing. And it wasn't until I start to trust myself and really believe in myself and not look to others that it helped me kind of connect to these things. So I'm going to really be going through the importance of ceremony, ritual, and sacred space and teaching this in this masterclass weekend. It's all through what I've witnessed and the beauty of it, what I've learned along the years. So I really hope to see you there. It's going to be the foundations of it. It's also going to include, what a sacred space will feel like and what it won't feel like, and how to kind of create those spaces. It's going to be the foundational framework essentially, but then it's also going to include why energetics plays such an important role when we are talking about gathering in space with others or even just for ourselves. So tickets are $44 right now for the masterclass weekend. It's 3 days of these events. There's at least 3 classes per day. Again, you're looking at 90-minute classes and over 13 hours of training that's going to be offered. If you can't make it to a live, that's okay. You have the video in your library, which is really awesome. Now, you ready for this special treat? If you purchase your tickets now before September 9th using code AWAKEN, AWAKEN, you will get tickets for $33. Can't beat that. That's amazing. 33 bucks. Holy crap. So definitely purchase your tickets. Also, I have another treat for you, a small gift. If you purchase through the link on Conscious Consumption, so through my link, and you share a print screen and send it to me, showing that you purchased your tickets through that link, then I will go ahead and send you a personalized mini read, a single card pull mini read that I will do for you. Now, with this, it'll also be going through a short limited time. So I will do the mini reads up through the end of August. So go ahead and purchase your tickets now through that link on Conscious Consumption show notes. So if you go to Awakening Airwaves, or if you're listening to a Conscious Consumption episode, you go down in the description, you will see, of course, the link there, and you can purchase your tickets there. Another location you can purchase them is through my Instagram, which is Serena Fine Healing. And then I will also have the link set up on my website as well. So can't wait to see you all there.